a mile. I'm crossing you in style someday. Oh, dream maker, you heartbreaker, wherever you're going, I'm going your way. Two drifters off to see the world. There's such a lot of world to see. We're after the same rainbows and waiting round the bend, my huckleberry friend, Moon River and me.
Good morning and welcome to this peaceful setting. I would also like to welcome those watching the service via the live stream. I am Suzanne O'Keefe, and I'd like to take a moment to ask everyone to please check that your mobile phones are switched off or placed on silent out of respect for Anne-Maree. Thank you. I would also like to take a moment to thank Sean Hamilton and his staff for their care and compassion shown to Anne-Maree and her family at this very difficult time. It is truly appreciated. On this cool winter morning, let's sit with one another in this time we have together in a spirit of appreciation for Anne-Maree. Excuse me. At this time, we have gathered here to celebrate the life and to honour the memory of Anne-Maree. It is Anne-Maree's death that has brought us together, but her life that we wish to remember. We are drawn here by a common love, our common respect, and our common grief. Sorry again. Thank you. You are a lifesaver. Thank you. This is certainly an occasion for sorrow, but may it also be an occasion for thanksgiving, because we are thankful for the gift of life, and we are thankful that Anne-Maree lived amongst us. We will have here today a mosaic, happy thoughts, sad thoughts, seeking to create the best picture we can of our emotions and our loss. I hope to set an initial tone by reading some words that I hope Anne-Maree might like read to you. I'd like the memory of me to be a happy one. I'd like to leave an afterglow of smiles when life is done. I'd like to leave an echo whispering softly down the ways of happy times and laughing times and bright and sunny days. I'd like the tears of those who grieve to dry before the sun, of happy memories that I leave when life is done. Anne-Maree was known to those who love her most as Anne-Maree and Auntie Anne-Maree, and our thoughts and condolences are particularly with Anne-Maree's brother Michael and his wife Liz, Anne-Maree's nieces and nephews Kate, Scott and Andrew, Anne-Maree's great-nieces and nephews Fletcher, Hugo, Lucy, Macy, Felix and Eben, Anne-Maree's sister-in-law and brother-in-law, Miss McCreasy and Jim McGowan, who live in Dublin, Ireland, and Anne-Maree's many dear friends. Today is a day for memories, Today will be remembered for many reasons, but mainly I hope it will be remembered by you all as a very special day in which you shared some time with each other in order to pay your last respects and to say both mentally and physically a sad and fond farewell to a lovely woman, a woman whom you were also very privileged to have known. We've come together from different places and we are all at different stages on our journey through life. Our paths are varied and we look at life in different ways. But there is one thing we all have in common. At one point or another, and to some degree, our lives have been touched by the life of Anne-Maree. And so this morning we put aside our usual daily activities for a while and gathered here to give expression to the thoughts and feelings that well up in us at this time of loss. Grieving is a heart-wrenching time in our lives. No one travels through life without, at some point, experiencing the loss of someone dear. The passing of a loved one is one of life's most difficult challenges, and the pain can be overwhelming. Anne-Maree was born on the 24th of January 1949 to parents Bill and Jean Lobach. Anne-Maree was the eldest child with one sibling, her brother Michael. She went to the local Catholic school in Maclean, and then her high school years she boarded at St Mary's in Grafton. Anne-Maree was always interested in the food industry. She met her husband Michael, who worked in a motel restaurant at that time. It was not very long after that they set up their first catering business in the golf club in Wollongong. They were married at Our Lady Star of the Sea Catholic Church in Watson Bay, Sydney in 1967. Michael and Liz kindly shared with me a glimpse into the life of their beloved sister and sister-in-law, and I'm deeply grateful for the opportunity to honour her memory by sharing just a few of the precious reflections they offered. Here is just a little of what they shared with me. Anne-Maree loved gardening. She had many pot plants at her home in Eureka. Anne-Maree always dressed beautifully, always wore gloves and had beautiful nails. Anne-Maree was always smiling. Anne-Maree worked alongside her husband Michael in their restaurants for many years. After Anne-Maree and Michael retired, they bought a caravan and travelled extensively. Anne-Maree spent the last few months in and out of hospital, but she never complained. Anne-Maree loved dogs. Her last dogs were a beautiful German short-haired pointer named Ellie. A picture of Ellie is on the back of your order of service that you were provided with this morning. And a lovely Weimaraner named Kelly, and a gorgeous English pointer named Maud. She also adored a precious little Chihuahua named Duchess, who belonged to her friend Maureen, who lived next door to her at Eureka. Anne-Maree loved listening to music. Anne-Maree loved food and cooking and recipes. Anne-Maree lost the love of her life, her husband Michael, an Irishman, back in 2012, which brought about her move to Tamworth to be close to Michael and Liz and their family. Michael and Liz would like to thank the staff of Nyoka for the wonderful care shown to Anne-Maree while she was in their care. Just before Anne-Maree passed away, she was visited by a chaplain from the hospital who offered a lovely blessing to her. We're now going to watch a video. It's presented by Kate, her niece, and Kate is overseas, so we've decided to get her to video her Psalm 23 for us.
Hello everyone. Today I'm reading Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord my whole life long.
Thank you, Kate. That was really beautiful. We're now going to take a little bit of time to listen to a beautiful song, Ave Maria, by Sarah Brightman. I'd like to invite Alan Morgan, Liz and Scott Lolly back to please come forward now and share with us some very special memories of Anne-Maree.
Thank you for all coming along today. I know some of us have travelled a fair way. Anne-Maree was a very special cousin of mine. I had hoped I could keep myself together. Anne-Maree was only 4 days younger than me. I was born on the 20th of January in Newcastle, and Anne-Maree was born on the 24th of January in Maclean. And I think this established a setting for a very good cousin relationship. Anne-Maree grew up in Maclean. Anne's mother, Jean, would bring Anne-Maree and Michael to Newcastle about once a year to visit Pop, our grandfather, and then she'd spend a few days at Pop's place, and then they'd come over and stop with my mother in Newhampton. While we were young, I think I don't know whether there's a photograph I found of we're both about 1 year old with a dog and what have you, on one of the early visits to Newcastle. From very young, we formed a very close bond. I've written this out very formal, and now I'm sort of ad-libbing as I go through, so if I get a bit confusing, please understand. When in the younger days, when Anne-Maree and Michael and Jean visited Newcastle, Anne-Maree's father, Bill, he wanted to stop in Maclean. He very rarely left Maclean. But the visits to Newcastle, about once a year, we always finished at Broadmeadow Railway Station about 9 o'clock at night, because that's the time the train left. It came to Newcastle from Sydney to go to South Grafton. How Anne-Maree and Jean and the family got from South Grafton back out to Maclean at that time, I don't know. In 1956, when we were both about 12, I know it was 1956, where we would stand down in the main street of Maclean in front of the electrical shop, because TV had just been introduced and the 1956 Olympics were on. So therefore that's how during these family visits over the years, we would get the Amber, Ballina, and most important, the one that sticks in my memory, is the family picnic day, the Brooms Head horse race day on the beach. And that was an annual thing as a family and cousins, we got together. The relationship, Anne-Maree became a very special cousin. When we were about 15 or 16, if we got together in Maclean, Anne would proudly introduce me to all of her girlfriends, including Patricia, Margot and Carol, and of course they're brothers. At 15 and 16, I think I was more interested in meeting the girls than the boys. One year when Anne-Maree was staying with us in Newcastle on a picnic outing to Budgewoi, and Anne-Maree's normal form, she befriended a group that just picnic a bit down where they had their speedboats and were doing water skiing. It wasn't long before Anne-Maree was hanging on a rope out behind the speedboat. She was a fairly good water skier, actually. And when she was about 17, staying with us in Newcastle, of course I introduced her to all my mates. And at 17, she became very friendly with a friend of mine called Robert. They went out together one night and got home well after the curfew time. Naturally, my parents, act as any good auntie and uncle would, and severely reprimanded her. Because back in those days, girls and boys, they had to be very, very good. At about this time, Anne-Maree, she got a job with National Cash Register, and they had a flat in Newcastle, which I think got her to like Newcastle even a bit more. But then after a while, she moved to Wollongong. It was in Wollongong that she met her husband, Michael, and they got into the restaurant business. Anne-Maree and Michael, her husband, they moved back to Newcastle in about 1980 and managed restaurants at the Wyndham Estate Winery, the Nilo's Italian in Hamilton, and the Villa Franca in Newcastle, which they eventually bought and owned the Villa Franca. This was might help you understand Anne-Maree a little bit. This was a 5-star, white table, seafood speciality restaurant. And that also had a fabulous wine cellar. And their client base was just about anybody was of the who's who list in Newcastle. And even today, when I run into people my age who were big businessmen in Newcastle, I say, do you ever go to the Villa Franca? Yes, with Anne-Maree and Michael. Yeah, so it was quite a good life here. This might help you understand how her love for food and her way she acted sometimes. Yeah, well, after the 1989 earthquake in Newcastle, which destroyed the Villafranca restaurant, Anne-Maree and Michael, her husband, they spent several years touring around Australia and the world, and eventually settling at Younger in Western Mackay for several years before they moved into Slade Point in Mackay. In 2013, about a year after Anne-Maree's husband Michael died, she was having a few health troubles. This is where Michael, her brother, and his wife Anne-Maree, the shining maiden, they came to the rescue, and they both arranged for Liz to relocate to Tamworth, where they've done a fabulous job looking after her over the recent years. The way things turned out, they deserve a medal. Anne-Maree visits in Newcastle several times, arriving by train from Tamworth, and we would pick her up at the fabulous Broadmeadow railway station and drop her off at the Broadmeadow railway station. Catherine, my wife, she thinks of Anne-Maree often when she's playing tennis at Katara and sees the train go through heading up the coast, and she thinks of it. And she said, if we did not Anne-Maree give her the hurry up to get packed and get dressed, she'd have missed the train to go home every time. Anyway, thank you. Goodbye, Anne-Maree.
Hi everybody, it's lovely to see you here. Thank you for your words, Alan. I learned a whole lot more about Anne-Maree. And I'd also like to welcome family and friends who are watching the live stream. Kate's in Italy, our son Andrew's in Denver, Colorado. Friends all over the place are with you today. This past week has been filled with preparing for today, and the one thing that has stood out was Anne-Maree's love of music. So I've decided to tell you why we chose each piece of music. The first song, Moon River, sung by Audrey Hepburn, was from Anne-Maree's very favourite movie, Breakfast at Tiffany's. Anne-Maree's great friend of, would you believe it, 68 plus years, Margot, lived in Maclean, and her family owned the Maclean Picture Theatre, so we know she and Anne-Maree saw that picture together more than once. Margot is still a great traveller, and in fairly recent years she and Anne-Maree travelled to India and Cuba, both amazing experiences for Anne-Maree. The next song we heard, Ave Maria, sung by Sarah Brightman, Anne-Maree just loved this song, and it's also a prayer. To those who don't know, Anne-Maree had a great singing voice and often sang along with whatever music she had playing, and often it was Ave Maria. I'm sure her friends at Kalala and then Eureka would have heard her singing, or maybe they heard some classical or operatic piece emanating from her home quite loudly. I'm told her father Bill had a great voice, but unfortunately my Michael can only sing to the Rolling Stones, Dire Straits or Eric Clapton. When we look at the photos of Anne-Maree and family and friends, we've chosen the piano piece of Memory from Cats, Andrew Lloyd Webber. In Anne-Maree's vast CD collection were many Andrew Lloyd Webber songs, and we chose this version for two reasons. The slides are all about memories, so many photos, some with her close friends from Newcastle days, Roz, who I'll mention later, Beryl, who rang Anne-Maree every day and sent photos of her growing grandchildren to my phone to show Anne-Maree, so I was part of that journey too. And yesterday, Beryl sent a message through that she'd like me to read today. This is to you, Anne-Maree. Oh, My dear Anne-Maree, my love and fond memories are with you today, dear friend. I feel so privileged to have shared 50 plus years of precious memories and friendship with you. Looking forward to seeing you in heaven, dear friend, so we can complete our unfinished business. So have that glass of wine ready. Your loving friend, Beryl Freeman, from Melbourne. Another great friend from Newcastle days was Bronnie. Sadly no longer with us, but she invited Anne-Maree to join the Corindi Gals on a couple of exciting cruises, which were loads of fun. And to complete the group of long-time friends is Bib, who Anne-Maree saw every time she was in Tamworth visiting her husband John's family. There are also photos of our children and grandnieces and nephews who have shared many fun times with Auntie Anne-Maree. I know Scott will elaborate on this. The second reason for choosing memory was that Anne-Maree saw the first couple of sessions of the piano on ABC TV, which she loved, and we thought the piano version of Memory was very fitting. What a wonderful series that was. She also loved Andrew Lloyd Webber songs and musicals. The next song we have chosen is No Regrets, sung by Edith Piaf. Anne-Maree could sing to this one very powerfully, and you might sing along too when we play it. She has so many Edith Piaf CDs, and I'm glad this one is in English and not French. But we had to include one, and we know that Anne-Maree left us peacefully and with no regrets. Anne-Maree had no regrets about moving from Mackay to Tamworth in 2012. She really enjoyed the walking group in her earlier days in Tamworth, particularly because she could walk with her dog Ellie as well. She loved going to Rural Fit for a workout, and she especially enjoyed the coffee and chat afterward, where she formed firm friendships. Anne-Maree absolutely loved the Ougaonville Dungowan Valley Garden Club and loved gardening. She excelled at growing plants in pots in her downsized days. Anne-Maree made good friends wherever she went and really valued those friendships. And it's so lovely to see some of those friends here today. You brought colour to Anne-Maree's life, especially these past few months. The final song we've chosen is On My Way Home by Enya. As you know, Anne-Maree was married to an Irishman, a bit of a larrikin. Probably a bit more than a larrikin, actually. They were a good pair. So we definitely needed to include an Irish song. We were having great difficulty finding a suitable song, even though there's countless Irish CDs in her collection, but we didn't feel an Irish jig was appropriate. So I rang Ros, Anne-Maree's very dear friend from times in Newcastle in the early 70s or early 80s, really, that should read, back in the days of the Villa Franca restaurant. Ros and Peter live in Mackay, and Ros knew that Anne-Maree loved Enya. Problem solved. A huge hello to Ros, Peter, Charlie, Linda and Zoe and friends of Anne-Maree from Mackay watching this, no doubt with a glass or two of bubbles. The first time I met Anne-Maree was at lunch at the Villa, and I chose to have crab. I was handed a bib and a sharp tool, but had no idea how to attack this thing on my plate. I remember thinking that I had a lot to learn about fine dining. In those days, the Villa Franca probably had the reputation for being the best restaurant for fine dining in Newcastle. Back to the song On My Way Home. It's a song about cherishing positive memories and feelings associated with a journey home, evoking a sense of contentment and nostalgia. So fitting. And at this point, I'd like to thank all those who cared for Anne-Maree, her friends and neighbours in Kalala and Eureka, the wonderful staff at DAX, Tamworth Base Hospital General Ward and Nyoka, her GP and oncologist, and the very caring staff at Tamworth Cottage Homes. We would like to thank Sean Hamilton and staff for their compassion and care, and our wonderful celebrant Suzanne O'Keefe from Dungowan, who we so enjoyed sharing time and memories of Anne-Maree with. Also, we would like to thank friends and family of Michael and I, who also became friends of Anne-Maree and who would have provided so much help, or who have provided so much help and support over a number of years, particularly when we travelled to our family living overseas. It certainly has not gone unnoticed. And how else could we send Anne-Maree on her way home without the Irish blessing to be read later by her nephew Andrew Lolback? Rest in peace, Anne-Maree.
Thank you, Mum. Very, very well spoken. And thank you, everyone, for being here to celebrate Anne-Maree's life today. I'm representing the nieces and nephews. I'm the only in-country representative, so here I am. I'll start by reading some messages from my brother Andrew and my sister Kate. So, Andrew first. Auntie Anne-Maree had a remarkable ability to make everyone feel welcome and loved, especially from her incredible passion in cooking and entertaining. So many of our memories are wrapped in those moments together in Yamba or Broom's Head, where her presence made Christmas extra special. We were lucky to share so many meaningful times with her, like our family trip to visit her and Uncle Michael in Mackay, and having her by our side in Maui to celebrate our wedding. Her joy, her smile, and the love she carried for her family made those memories even more cherished. We are so glad she got to meet our son, Evan, the last time we visited, and we will have those lasting memories. Thank you, Auntie Anne-Maree, for your warmth, your heart, your many beautiful memories. You will be deeply missed and always remembered. With love, Andrew, Jamie, and Evan. And now a message from Kate. Hello everyone, and sorry we can't be here in person today, but our thoughts and love are with you all as we gather today to farewell Auntie Anne-Maree. A constant presence in our lives from the very beginning. I remember as a 10-year-old looking to Auntie Anne-Maree as a glamorous aunt, allowing us to order anything in the Villa Franca menu. But for Kate, it was always calamari and chips. Enjoying a pink lemonade from the bar and behind-the-scenes restaurant experience. We learnt a great deal about hospitality and the value of long and cherished friendships from her, as well as some of my earliest cooking lessons. Once Anne-Maree moved to Tamworth, it was so wonderful to spend special family time with her whenever we came back to Riverbend. I feel that Hugo, Lucy and Felix really got to know their Auntie Anne-Maree. We always loved to hear about her life and the many interesting experiences she'd had. One favourite story after we'd lived in Fiji was about her visit to Suva in the 70s to investigate running a restaurant there, and the accounts of the many different cultural experiences they found. And so we go through life, we realise it is the relationships and experiences that are most important. And Auntie Anne-Maree can now rest easy in the knowledge that her life was full of these. And now to my memories of Auntie Anne-Maree. Like Kate, I have fond memories of the visits to the Villa Franca. We'd enter this fine dining restaurant and Anne-Maree would glide over, ever the consummate host, and make us feel like the biggest VIPs. She'd have us seated and the usual brought over, and which consisted of the calamari and chips and the pink lemonade. But I also have very fond childhood memories of how generous Auntie Anne-Maree was and how she loved to spoil us. Her presents and cards at birthdays and Christmases were always eagerly awaited. And I particularly cherished my remote-controlled version of the Australia 2 winning America's Cup boat. It was a very 80s memory, but it was a lovely, lovely gift. We had great memories of our holidays in Maclean and Broomshead and Yamba. We used to have the most epic three-week beach holidays at Broomshead with the whole family staying there. Often Anne-Maree and Michael Kelly in the caravan parked in the driveway. And it's just the most fantastic childhood memories. You know, I remember she always loved to cook, and I have a distinct memory of her one year cooking fresh pasta at Broomshead, and we had to find brooms and other implements to hang this from, and it took up the whole kitchen. It was also great to spend time with Auntie Anne-Maree up at Yungla. So both we went up there and visited as a family, but also I spent my gap year after I finished high school, part of that up in the Whitsundays, and I got to spend time with Anne-Maree and Michael at Yungla, and her great friend Roz helped my mate Dan and I get a job up there. So always good to have great friends in good places. More recently, we loved spending time with Anne-Maree in Tamworth. Our children, Fletcher and Maisie, always loved to spend time with her. She was always dressed so grandly and spoke with such elegance that Maisie, used to refer to her as the posh great auntie. She didn't always take herself too seriously, though. I remember after one Riverbend long lunch, Auntie Anne-Maree let out a little burp, which was quickly followed by an elaborate "pardon." Fletcher and Maisie found this so hilarious. It's a little tradition and in-joke that they've picked up. So anytime a little bit of wind passes anywhere, there's always a pardon. So it's a little piece of Anne-Maree that's been passed through the generations. So we are so thankful for the time we got to spend with Auntie Anne-Maree and the memories. And thankful that she was in our lives, and we take comfort that she's now at rest. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan, Liz and Scott. That was really very lovely of you to be able to share those memories. We're now going to take a stroll down memory lane and watch some beautiful memories. What absolutely beautiful pictures, wonderful memories. Let's take a few moments of peaceful reflection for each of you to recall your own personal memories of Anne-Maree, to pray if you wish. And now Edith Piaf will sing No Regrets, just for Anne-Maree.
No, no regrets. No, I will have no regrets. All the things that went wrong, for at the last I have learned to be strong. No, no regrets. No, I will have no regrets, for the grief doesn't last, it is gone. I've forgotten the past and the memories I had. I no longer desire both the good and the bad. I have flung in the fire, and I feel in my heart that the seed has been sown. It is something quite new. It's like nothing I've known. No, no regrets. No, I will have no regrets. All the things that went wrong, for at last I have learned to be strong. No, no regrets. No, I will have no regrets, for this seed that is new, it's the love that is growing for you.
Would you please stand for the committal? Anne-Maree is safe. She is already through the barrier and free to another reality, to experience whatever joy awaits her there. But for us, it is important to say this final farewell to her body as we commit it to its natural end. Anne-Maree, we wish you well and thank you for being a part of our life. We honour your life on earth and we wish for your peace ever after. We will not forget you. Go well. We say a fond and final goodbye, Anne-Maree Kelly. Your compassion and generous nature we commit to our memories. Your love, humour and friendship we commit to our hearts. We lovingly and reverently return your body to the elements for which it came. With love we leave you in peace. With respect we bid you farewell. May you rest in peace. Could I please ask you all to join with me as we recite the Lord's Prayer together? The words are on the inside of the order of service that you received this morning. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. We're now going to have another video with her nephew Andrew reciting an Irish blessing just for her.
I would now like to read the Irish blessing. May the road rise up to you. May the wind always be at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, the rain fall soft upon your fields, and until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. We will miss you, Auntie Anne-Maree. Thank you for always being so loving to our family. Rest in peace. Thank you.
Please take a seat for just a few more moments. Michael and Liz warmly invite you to remain here with them for some light refreshments at the conclusion of this farewell for Anne-Maree. We have been remembering with love and gratitude a life that was important and honouring life itself. I sincerely hope that in time you can all be comforted to some degree by this important last act of love and respect that you've shared in here today. Anne-Maree's life has been like a tapestry into which you are all woven to some extent. It is made up of many threads of memories, which no matter how time passes, will always remain somewhere in your hearts, safely stored to be accessed when you need them most. The greatest testimony to her memory is to make the most of your lives now. Accept each day as a precious gift. Take time to unwrap each and every day you have. Live every day as if it were your last. Thank you all.
lie is harder to take in when I know that this life was ours for the taking. Locked up, but I let you break in. Now you're gone and my lungs are still lying vacant. I know that time moves on and everything must change, but some things remain the same. I still find it hard to breathe when you're not next to me. I'm suffocating when you're not there, 'cause you are my life, my love, my air. Tell me the stories about how you woke up and broke out of this town. My mama said never light up, save all of your breath for the mic, love. I know that time moves on and everything must change, but some things